The leaf cutter display is probably our most popular display. The display starts on one side of the room, and the ants actually have a trail where they would have, like in the jungle, where they would go out to forage and find leaf material to cut. So they follow each other down a glass tube that goes through the room, and then you can actually watch them cut pieces of leaves off of the foliage that we provide, and then watch them carry them back into their nest.
The leaf cutter ant display, you know, it started out kind of not as pretty as it is right now. We had some fairly nice contributions to the insect zoo. With that, we were able to have constructed or have built a very nice insect display case. They have to come do their cutting, and then they have to take it all the way back to their, it's kind of a hidden area, but this is where they have their fungal gardens. This is where they take the leaf cuttings to produce this fungus, and actually it's the fungus that feeds the colony. It's not the leaves per se. But I think that even if you watch kids, I mean, you know, here you got this glass tube, and here you've got these ants running back and forth. I think that's probably the highlight of the insect zoo. You know, it's almost kind of comical in a way. You know, each of these ants carries this piece of leaf matter, and you know, I watched one ant carrying a large piece, and another ant wanted that large piece. Well, so they had to stop and fight about it. And of course, the large piece, you know, dropped to the ground or dropped to the bottom of the tube. And while they were discussing who was going to carry that piece, a third ant came along, picked up the piece and started to walk away with it. And then the other two ants looked, and they saw that, and they I don't want to say they attacked the other ant, but they took that leaf back and they carried it together.
My favorite thing in the zoo are the leafcutter ants, because it's such a wonderful example of very specialized and tight coevolution. The ants are cutting leaves and clippings and taking them down into their colony to feed to a fungus, and then the ants are feeding on the fungus. So essentially the ants are growing their food. Out in nature, they have a very large impact in tropical areas with all the leaf cutting that they do. Literally, the fungus does not exist in the wild on its own. It's totally dependent on the ants for survival, and the ants are totally dependent on the fungus for survival. It's a wonderful place to bring out-of-town guests, bring family members if they're visiting. You could easily spend an hour or an hour and a half just going through the exhibits, looking at things from tarantulas to giant centipedes to huge millipedes and all sorts of wonderful and beautiful insects. And things like the live bee colony, the leafcutter ants. Really, it's interesting to see small invertebrates working in a very coordinated and organized fashion. So they actually do some very wonderful things for creatures with very, very small brains.